Hits and Crits. This video is brought to you by Asmodee and Fantasy Welt.
What's up, YouTube? We're back with another painting tutorial. I'm joined again by Kiste, also known as Max. Max, what have you brought us today?
Hi, I brought my Iron Victory crew, which is the latest unit I painted for the Greyjoys, and I used them to do a tutorial on my Greyjoy painting process.
Great. I can't wait. We've seen some of your Greyjoy, or your whole army, actually. We've seen your whole army here on the channel before.
Yeah.
And I really like it. And I'm really, really excited to see your painting process and how you do all this gritty, grimy, grimdark style with oil paints. So let's look at the final product, just so the viewers know what they're getting into here. This is the Iron Victory crew in all its glory, with amazing basing. Oil wash makes it really gritty. I really love this unit. Tell us just real briefly, like what was your initial idea before we jump into the tutorial?
Yeah, I paint the Greyjoys similarly to the neutrals, which you see in the Bloody Mamas video, and I start by mixing different colors on the models, like some get black cloaks and others get the characteristic teal color, which Greyjoys often get, and so they don't look like a coherent army, but more like individuals, and everyone dresses a bit different. And yeah, then I go from there and do my usual oil wash thing and get them really dirty. And in this case, I even used oil paints for the weathering effects, which you will see later, which is different to the Dirty Down products I used on the Bloody Mamas. Yeah.
All right, sounds really good, and I like the look. They look like they just came out of the salt water. You know, they have the sea salted water on the cloaks baked onto the dirt and grime from the stony shores. This is amazing. All right.
They just jumped off the Iron Victory, ready to pillage.
Yes, pillage and plunder. All right, let's do this also and see how you did this.
Yeah, so let's start with the underpainting. I started with Zenithal Primer and gray and then white from the left side of the models, left top, like you can see here. And then I started with stippling on the white, not dry brushing like on the classical slab chop, but with this project I used stippling, which is similar to dry brushing, but you can see I do more of like a stabbing motions with the brush to get real good texture on there. And especially for leather, this makes a good painting technique to get the texture on there, and yeah, with the following coloring in, it gets toned down again, so you can have it really pop here. As you can see on the wood, I painted texture with a fine brush also, more controlled, to have those lines that are characteristic for wood, which will look really realistic later, I think. So as you probably know from our last video, the next step is coloring in the different areas with thin paints like inks or contrast speed paints. There are many different versions of this. The common thing is that the texture you painted under it will shine through. And here for the Greyjoys I mixed this characteristic teal color. You could say it's from 3 different colors, where I forgot to write down how much of every color I took. So it was really hard to recreate after my test model. I never got the same color again, I think, but this one's close enough. On my Greyjoys I usually mix different colors like the black, the teal, different browns on the different parts on the models for one unit, so no same sculpt has the same colored trousers or a cloak, for example, so you don't see the monopose or same sculpts as much, because they all look different in the end. Here you can see how the texture from the wood that we painted earlier shines through, and I think this looks really cool, really realistic. Makes it really read as wood afterwards. I also mixed the leather and different browns a lot because the Greyjoys were a project I started quite early, where I began to work with these techniques, and I would on later projects I'm using different colors that are not where I don't have to mix as much, but I wanted to show you how I did those like all those years now, and mixing is a big part of this color scheme. And you could substitute them, those browns, with others with less steps for mixing to save some time here. As you can see, I need a lot of, with a lot of colors, I need 2 thin layers to get the tone I want, but that's okay. For the metallics, I use the scale colors again, like I did do on most of my projects. I really like their coverage and how you can blend with them, and I think they are really just really cool colors to use. highlight the metal tone after the oil wash step to get a more scratchy look. You could do it now after you finish the base coat to get a more clean, smooth look. That depends. I think that's a good way to differentiate metals. So, but with the Greyjoys, I think the rough look is better. And as this is a more elite unit, they get more of the gold brass tone that I use on the Greyjoys than other units. Some basic units don't have a lot of it on them, and those here, the Iron Victory crew, they get armor trims and everything just to differentiate them on the battlefield, make them look more elite. On the brass tone I highlight before the oil wash step. So this is how the unit looks now after the coloring step, and you also see a freehand there, which we'll cover in another video. Now we will start with the oil wash. As before, I just get a lot of it on the whole model. You can see the consistency in the Bloody Mamas video. If you covered the whole model, then you can cover the rest of the unit, so it has a little drying time, and then I get it off again with a paper towel, just rubbing it off dry, because the oil has such a long drying time. You don't need white spirit to get it off again at this time. You could work at it again with white spirit later, or to get even more of the base color through, but I like the toning down this does. Now we get to the details. After the oil wash is dried, like I usually wait 1 day at least, I start with the details. In this case I started with the eyes. Everyone paints those a little different. There are a lot of different opinions here. I usually go for the huge white dot and then paint a black dot in the middle. And with the black you can also correct if you made the white too big. Then I started highlighting the metals with a brighter metal color to, as I said before, get a more scratched look. This is almost like dry brushing, you could say. Just get some edge highlights and brighter scratches on there to give the armor a really used look. see, I almost use stippling again here to get some scratches. It's like little stepping motions with the brush. And also scratch it along all edges to make the eggs look really sharp. With those metal colors from Scale Color, you can like get a blending effect when you almost dry brush it. I really like this about them. On the Greyjoys I used little different methods to get rust and Rodriguez in. As I used Dirty Down on my neutrals. I use oil colors here. As you can see, they are just thinned a little bit down with White Spirit. They are just quite thick, not like the wash before. And I do little dots here and there and rub them off again. You can really rub them into the color beneath to get really smooth spots that are really blending into the surroundings, which I really like. And also you can, like on chainmail or something like this, there stays a little brighter color in the recesses. With that you can get some really cool rust effects, I think. The same I did on the brass with Rodriguez. I took a blue-green oil paint, made some spots with it, and then I rubbed it off again. A really cool thing about using oil colors for this is that you can correct mistakes like as long as you want. If you look at the miniature the next day and think, oh, that's too much, or I don't like it, the spot there, you could always use White Spirit and remove it again. To get the Rodriguez effect a bit more, a bit more highlight, I used the Vallejo effect for this. It's a really bright color, which I use to get some more brighter spots into there, give it a bit more definition, make it really pop. You will also see this on the name plate. Really works really well there. For the basing I use texture paste, and you can put it really thick on the base and use it to create a good surface, realistic looking surface. And in this case I also use it to get mud on the boots and cloaks of the miniatures to make them really blend in their surroundings. Just use a little bit of the texture or more, however you like, on the boots and stipple it on there to get mud splashes, and really you can rub it off on the edges of a cloak to get this effect, which I really like. Here you can see the finished miniature after matte varnish and adding of some tufts. And here you see the complete unit ready to pillage with the aforementioned freehand, which you will see later. I think they make a really grim unit that Greyjoy opponents will fear.
That wraps it up for this tutorial. Thank you for watching, and as always, roll those crits.
Come for the hits and stay for the crits.